Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann.
And I'm number one fan, Tim.
You may have noticed that our state has jumped on the bandwagon and passed a hands-free cell phone usage while driving law.
Yeah.
What are your feelings on this?
I don't know if it'll really change anything because some people just don't have the capacity to talk to somebody that's not there and drive at the same time. Because there's already people out there that have these hands-free stuff going on, you know, the Bluetooth of the car and whatnot.
Yeah.
And they still drive like shit.
Yeah.
So it's not a cell phone problem, although I don't think it helps. It's just in consideration of other people problem. It's what we've had a new guy start at work, and he's never worked on the road before, and he's absolutely dumbfounded this stupid-ass shit drivers do, whether they're on their phones or not.
Yeah.
So it's kind of entertaining to watch it. It's like his reaction to things.
Okay. So, well, I thought it was fine to have an anti-texting law for distracted driving.
That I can understand, yeah.
But to take away phone calls by holding the phone up.
That's just nanny state bullshit.
It's idiotic, and I hate this fucking law because I do a lot of work in my car, and I do a lot of phone calling while I'm driving from visit to visit, or court date, or professional meeting. I'm on the phone all the fucking time.
Hello?
Yeah, I suppose this would affect you more. I'm kind of used to it because driving a commercial vehicle, I've been restricted already, so.
Right.
Doesn't stop me from doing it, but I'm restricted.
Well, here's the thing, is I know someone who's a trucker, and as far as I can tell when he talks to me when he's driving, he's got the phone up to his ear. He's not on a headset, and if he's on a headset, he's got an incredibly clear headset that picks up his voice wonderfully.
There are really nice headsets that some truck drivers have. One of my coworkers bought one that's really nice. I tried buying one when I first started driving the semi, and every time I called someone, they couldn't hear me. All they could hear was all the background noise.
Yeah.
They couldn't hear me. And I was just like, what the fuck piece of shit is this? So I ended up not using it anymore. And I went and bought one I thought was really good. I paid like $115 at a T-Mobile store.
Ouch.
And it was the same damn thing. It was just an utter pile of shit. So I just drove the semi with my phone to my ear with my hand. I just made sure that I didn't have to shift.
Well, like when I talk to Neil, he usually tells me because he's got a new job, he can't talk on the phone during the workday anymore like he used to. He's in an office and he has to do work all the time. There's no taking a 45-minute break to bullshit like we used to.
Well, yeah, that's any job.
Well, if I'm out on the road and he had time to talk, I'd fucking talk.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've had those conversations. I'm driving an hour somewhere, so I talk on the phone with somebody for 45 minutes. But, I mean, in an office situation, I can understand that not being normal.
So now he uses one of those hands-free sync type setups where he syncs his phone to his car and the microphone's above his head and my voice comes through the speakers.
Yeah, that's... one of my buddies has that.
It's fucking hard to hear him. I've so many times said, will you just pick the fucking phone up so I can actually hear you?
Well, he mumbles as it is.
And I just think that this is a step too far. Your heart's in the right place, but your head is not. Because here's the deal. How many people are still going to fucking talk on the phone, hoping they don't get caught?
Every single one of them. Every one.
A lot of people are going to, like, for a week or two, not do it, and then go, all right, let me sneak this in. Oh, it's just going to be a quick call. Oh, it's my wife, it's my husband, it's this, it's that. Real quick.
It's the babysitter.
I have a flip phone, so guess what? It's tiny, and I can hold my hand up along my forearm tight to my chest and my hand to my ear. You can't fucking tell what I'm doing.
If I'm behind you and I see your hand kind of up by your head, unless you're leaning way over.
I drive
think
one-handed,
sure you know.
and I lean into the center console. So it looks like I'm just resting my head on my hand.
I think most cops would look at that and be like, that person might be on a cell phone.
Otherwise, I drive with my right hand, and I hold the phone, to my right ear with my left hand.
Just
I cross.
I'm doing that now, and it's...
You got to do what you got to do. So that being said, there's so many people that are just going to do it. And you wonder, well, what's going to happen if somebody notices you? Are they going to get on the phone while they're driving and say, I'm driving and somebody's talking on their phone? Well, how are you calling us? On my phone? Well, where are they? Are you driving? Yes.
I'm on a hands-free set.
Yeah. And honestly, do the cops not have more important shit to do? There's so many fucking drug crimes and thefts and murders. There's enough shit going on. Hit and runs.
Well, this is just politicians doing things that are, quote, feel good, that they think are going to win them votes. That's all it is.
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to vote for Christopher Robin because he signed that anti-cell phone law, and I like that. I think dangerous drivers with phones in their ears is a danger.
And bears that get their heads stuck in honeypots.
I think people who can't fucking speak English driving is a bad goddamn idea.
Oh, I thought you would be way more in favor of this law.
No, because it affects me a lot. I mean, when I'm driving around, my boss calls me and shit like that. Hey, we got a thing down over here. You need to go check it out. Or a coworker calls me up asking me, he's like, hey, I'm in this situation. How do I handle this? Or where is this supposed to be? What am I supposed to fucking do? Pull over? Are they going to go buy me a goddamn earphone?
Exactly. And this is where there is unintended, dangerous consequences to this fucking law. Where people are going to say, oh, well, if you have to talk, pull over. If I'm on the interstate and traffic is flowing well...
Don't pull over on the interstate.
But I get a call that I cannot miss, that I've been waiting for. Am I going to pull over to the shoulder when traffic's going 55, 65, 70, take my call, and then I have to wait God knows how long to try to successfully and safely re-merge into traffic?
Well, I just a quick question. You do know how the proper way to re-merge with traffic when you're stopped on the side of the freeway, right?
You start going to speed up.
Yeah, you match up speeds.
But if there's uneven parts of the pavement, where it goes from a paved shoulder to that gravel underneath a bridge, or you don't have a full shoulder, there are fucking bridges that go over 35 where there's little to no shoulder. And it's not an off and on ramp.
Well, when you get to the downtown area, yes.
It cannot be more safe to pull over and then try to re-merge with traffic than to just fucking drive and have your hand to your head and look in your mirrors. A few shitty drivers and some skewed statistics are fucking over the people that can responsibly and safely multitask.
The dumb people ruin it for the rest of us.
I mean, I could see finding them more heavy if you cause an accident for inattentive driving while being on your fucking phone, but to take away the ability to hold your phone while you're talking, and then you get these nut jobs that are like, well, lucky for the Muslims. I'm like, what do you mean? Well, their females can just tuck the fucking phone into their headscarf and hold it that way. How's that not cheating? Because it's hands-free, fuckface.
I don't think those scarves are that tight.
A hijab is not going to support a fucking smartphone. So, nice fucking try, Johnny Reb.
I suppose I could get a pair of earbuffs and put them on my head and then slide my phone up under. I'm hands-free, motherfucker!
Well, they have those things that you can wear on your head. That's like a hairband.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have a little piece that goes on your phone to hold it to your head. So you can go hands-free. And they're made for flip phones, not for smartphones. Bluetooth headsets these days are made for smartphones, but so are those idiotic fucking microphones in the ceiling of the car and me coming through the speakers.
Mark has one of those ones that looks like, like music earphones.
Yeah.
And it rings and he puts the plug in his ear and he can talk and all that and it picks up his voice, but it's not that good because half the time he talks to me on the phone, and I'm not exaggerating, half the time I either get a shit ton of wind noise in the background or it's breaking up. And I don't know why, because I know his cell phone's in his pocket.
Because the wires are shitty.
It is probably what it is too. So
the wires are shitty. So in addition to having to pull over and re-merge with traffic, and I'm just waiting for somebody to die getting rear-ended or to cause a multiple car pileup, because the law doesn't go in effect until August 1st. So I've been telling everybody, get your driving conversating done now, because you got about 10 more weeks before the law can get up your ass about it. It's a joke to me. It's fucking stupid. But also, now, let's say that there's no space to stop on the interstate. Are you just going to get off on an exit every time you have a phone call that you can't miss? And people will be like, there's no call that you would have to need that important. Say I'm driving to the store and Somebody wants to add to the grocery list as I'm heading there. Am I just supposed to not answer and call when I get to the store? What if we don't have the ability to sync up our time to speak if you have a very narrow frame of conversation?
Mm-hmm. No,
you have to take it when you take it. I've been waiting 3 days for somebody from Hennepin County medical assistance to get back to me, and they're calling me. Oh, I missed your call. I guess you're leaving me a voicemail. I guess we're playing phone tag again, but it took 3 fucking days for me to get a live person to answer one voicemail. You're just making it hell for people like me that need the phone to stay in touch to get things done. You're taking links out of the chain. That doesn't drive the fucking gears.
No, it's right. And that's why I'm against it. I know it's not going to solve anything.
Well, here's who's to say this is enough? What's the next step? How else are they going to infringe upon our rights?
I remember reading a news article a while ago about them possibly putting some kind of a cellular signal blocking device in all automobiles. So when you're in your car and you're driving around, like cars in drive, it will block your cell phone signals.
That's idiotic.
Yeah.
And unnecessary.
I believe so, because I get some of my music through frickin' Pandora.
Yeah.
Particularly the stand-up comedy.
Well, I remember, I think it was like New Jersey or something, when they went to a no texting law and people were still doing it to try to dissuade texting while driving. Some genius, I don't know if it was a senator or a law enforcement individual, suggested, well, why don't we find the people that are texting them? So you're going to... Let me get this straight. You don't want someone to text and drive, so if somebody sends them a message and they answer it and it causes an accident, you're going to find the person that sent the message that is just supposed to have the clairvoyance to know that the other individual, the recipient, is fucking driving.
If I got fined like that for texting somebody while they were driving, oh, you bet your ass I'd be in court.
That's fucking ridiculous. That's what's next after that. You're going to find somebody for calling an individual with bad news saying, get to the hospital quick, so-and-so got hurt, they're dying. And then they get into a crash driving fast to the hospital. Are you going to find the motherfucker that called them and gave them the bad news next? Because it's just about on par with finding the person who's texting somebody while driving.
I suppose the next step would be to start finding the phone companies.
It's
just like the whole bullshit. It's just like, well, maybe we should allow victims of mass shootings to sue gun companies. Why? What did the gun company do? They didn't do anything.
Right.
It's the individual that has the gun. It's the fucking idiot that's got the car that doesn't know how to handle a cell phone and a car at the same time. It's not hard.
Right.
I mean, we've had cell phones now since 16. 13, 23 years now?
Well,
the first cell phone I ever held, I was
marketed.
16.
Yeah. So now back to what I was saying with the further possibilities for infringing upon rights. What is now to stop them from taking it a step further? Say that it doesn't have a monumentous enough decrease in fatalities and accidents that they were blaming on cell phone usage with people holding their phones in cars. What are you going to do next? You're going to just try to scapegoat? Well, no more eating in cars. Because I can fucking eat with my right hand and drive with my left, and I can look in every mirror and all my blind spots and my blind spot mirrors. I can be wholly attentive while eating a fucking banana.
It's illegal to drive your vehicle with one arm. What do you mean? Well, you have to have both hands on the steering wheel. Well, what if I was only one-armed? Is it illegal for me to drive then?
See, that's
I'll tell you what, I need one arm to drive. This is my arm. This is my bonus arm. And with this, I'll make a phone call or I'll eat a fucking cheeseburger.
Right.
Because I don't need this arm.
Well, that's the thing, is that's one of the other possibilities I thought of, and you stole the words out of my mouth. Totally one-handed driving, which I do almost exclusively unless it's raining hard or snowing and traffic is bad. That's the only time I two-hand it.
Even in those conditions, I usually one-hand drive. Unless I'm giving it a little bit extra gas and I get the ass into the truck swinging around and fishtail and shit like that. Then I'll put 2 hands on the wheel because I got to turn a little bit faster. Got to correct for that oversteer.
I'm not trying to think solely with what I do. There's other reasons beyond the convenience for me getting more work done. Yeah, the cops are exempt from doing that. So say they're talking on the phone and they kill somebody.
Ambulance drivers.
You got to do what you got to do.
I don't believe fire trucks are doing a whole lot of phone calls. Let's see, what else? Who else drives for a living that would actually need communication, like on the spot communication?
Well, that's the thing, though. Cops would probably be encouraged to pull over to talk on the phone to a party they're responding to. They're getting dispatched via police radio in the car.
Yeah, but, I mean,
Same
if they're
with
trying to get someone in a
EMS.
hurry, but all of a sudden they got a phone call from an officer on scene
Yeah.
that's not using the radio, like they're making a phone call just in case there's a police scanner in the house that they're going to. You want him to stop while he's on his way to an emergency?
Even if the cop said, we're not going to let our officers do that, they know not to do that. Another officer has to get on the horn and give, we'll say 2 Prince 15 to 2 Prince 18. Prince being the radio call for one specific agency. And there's all these fucking different ones they use. If you pay attention to police radio blotter, you'll hear them.
Okay.
So they'll have to say, switch to this channel, because they have their own channel for officer-to-officer chatter that does not take up the radio bandwidth and the airtime that the regular county bands use, because very few city police departments, unless it's a mega city like New York or fucking Los Angeles, I would believe, have a city with its own radio frequencies. The counties have their own, and both the sheriffs and the municipalities operate on one. It's just a matter of how are your calls dispatched. You're all using the same radios, and you might be on different channels, but there's usually one main channel that handles the majority of the police radio transmissions. And I'm sure they change it to a different channel for dispatch to talk to EMS or, firefighters. But if an officer says 2 Prince 15 to 2 Prince 18, go to channel 3. You still have to turn your attention away from where you're driving in a hurry if you're going to a call, and maybe it's for a split second to turn the knob one channel over and you hit a kid on a fucking bike.
What are they going to do when I'm plowing?
What do you mean?
Well, when I'm plowing, I'm adjusting that wing. I'm lifting my plow. I'm putting the plow down. I'm adjusting the salt spreader. I'm adjusting the amount of salt coming out. I'm raising the dump of the bed so I can get more salt to the ass end of the truck where the salt actually comes out of the truck. I have to do that with one of my hands. I can't stop.
Exactly. But, you're doing it in an official capacity, and it's a government job. So and the government's trying to make you do it, and you're totally free and clear until you fuck up and hurt somebody. And then you're a piece of shit, and they will leave you high and dry.
So let's say I'm driving around in my normal truck. It's not a plow truck.
Yeah.
And I have to take care of some work business on the phone. I won't get in trouble?
No, you'll still have to pull over.
So that makes me wonder if I'm exempt.
You're not.
I know I'm not. But, if the law says government workers exempt.
I guarantee you the people that are like, good, I'm fucking glad they finally did this shit. It's been a long time coming. Yeah, they're fucking clapping and jerking off while the news announces it. Would see my response in this episode as probably knee-jerk, but it's really not.
This is something I saw coming down the pike for a while now when they first originally even debating it. I was just like, honestly, what is this going to solve? People are still going to do it. They're just going to try harder to not get caught.
Exactly.
I'm not about to run out and buy a fucking headset for myself when I'm driving because I don't want to wear a headset. That earpiece gets really uncomfortable after a half hour. And I don't want the one like Mark has because, like I said, shitty wiring is probably why it sucks.
There's times when I'm talking to the beast when I'm driving and she'll start screaming, which is most of the time. So I have the benefit of pulling the phone away from my ear. If she's in a fucking earpiece, I have to reach for the volume button. I don't need her to blow my eardrum out.
I think I would just hang up. Beep. Talk to you later, bitch.
Well, that's the thing is what's next? Are we going to ban phone calls in cars altogether?
That's where it's going to head down eventually, I think.
It's always one thing after the other. This isn't, all right, we finally did it. Good for us. Problem solved. Let's see how the results are and see if we need to take further action.
How can we restrict our citizens' freedoms? The people that voted for us to make their lives better, quote unquote. Let's see how much more freedom of theirs we can take away before we're in complete fucking control.
Well, and if I have to send an email while I'm driving, I can do it because I have voice to text on my work phone.
I have voice to text too, but it's so inaccurate I don't even want to use it.
You have to really learn the intricacies of how you pronounce certain syllables.
I have. It still sucks.
For, when you say thanked, but it just says thank, you have to go thanked. You really have
talk
to
faster than
emphasize. I don't even say or a lot, but there'll be times when I'm reading back what I said into the thing, and they'll just add the word oh.
I'd have to look at that because I did a voice text the other day. Hang on.
I just hate this fucking law. It's so goddamn stupid.
I think it's funny you thought I'd be all for it.
I thought you would say good, because when I brought up cops doing their speed traps are like, well, if you're following the appropriate follow distance and you're staying X amount of feet away from the next. You were so Mr. Textbook holier than thou.
Well, that's all but legitimate. But the cell phone thing, that I'm sorry, that's not legitimate.
I don't want them to. I get that this sucks, but I'm seeing it for the larger picture of where it could possibly go. No phone usage at all. No eating while driving. Mandating 2 hands on the wheel at all times.
Yeah, that ain't happening with me either.
To some people, I guarantee you, I sound as fucking asinine being against this law as smokers that were crying when they said, you can't smoke with kids in the car. Here's the last thing I'll say on this. Talking on the phone when I'm in the car calms me down. Because other people drive like such inconsiderate pieces of shit. And the traffic is so bad with all the construction this year on the routes I take that being on the phone and having a friend that I hardly get to speak to because my schedule doesn't really permit it, kids and a job and, it's hard to stay in touch as an adult. So if I'm talking to one of my friends and it's keeping me calm, it is legitimately keeping me from wanting to drive on the shoulder, park sideways in front of another car, get out and have a fucking full-blown falling down moment some days.
I can just see you in a fast food restaurant in a falling down moment.
I'll get more into that in the next episode. Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It? That is at What Do We Call It? You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/What Do We Call It podcast show. For the What Do We Call It podcast, I'm Jmann.
And I'm number one fan, Tim.
And that's the end.